NNED stands for the National Network to Eliminate Disparities in Behavioral Health. And it was a network we established of community-based organizations that were serving primarily diverse, racial, ethnic, underserved communities across the United States. We wanted to provide support and capacity building services to these community-based organizations who often are not getting federal grants or state contracts to serve their populations. So we wanted to increase their visibility, learn best practices among each other, and meet a need that was not sufficiently recognized. If we could link them together in a network, this would be a critical first step in starting to reduce behavioral health disparities in these communities. The NNEDLearn is a very unique approach to training in evidence-based interventions. There are a couple of key underlying principles for the meeting. We wanted it to be focused on these diverse populations and evidence-based practices that were geared towards the populations or that had been adapted for those specific cultures. These communities we identify as African American, Latino, American Indian, Alaska Native, and Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. NNED consists of community-based organizations, or what we often refer to as CBOs, that are focused on serving these particular populations.
The NNEDLearn training model is a framework that SAMHSA uses for the NNEDLearn training, and it was really developed based on principles from implementation science. The NNEDLearn training model has 4 phases: prepare, learn, implement, and sustain. With each of those phases, we have included activities, some that are required and some that are recommended for the NNEDLearn participants to engage in. The idea of the NNEDLearn training is to build capacity across communities in behavioral health. Typically, each year we'll offer about 5 interventions. The learn phase really is the time period where the participants are learning the material for them to then eventually go back to their communities so that they can implement that intervention. In the implement phase, we ask them to pilot a cohort of participants in that specific intervention. Sustain is really the phase where we're encouraging participants to identify the resources and the capacity to be able to sustain their practice outside of that first initial pilot. Over the years since NNEDLearn has started, we've offered a variety of interventions. Initially, when NNEDLearn was started, we really focused in on having evidence-based behavioral health practices. So we wanted to be able to ensure that there also was consideration for culture and language.
The majority of organizations have been able to take the intervention back to their home communities, their home CBOs, and implement and sustain the intervention that they were trained on.
As we approach NNEDLearn, we think about the ways in which the science is aligned with the community voice. We think about how choice is a driver, but that informed choice is a decision maker. The model has been around now for a decade. 10 years ago, NNEDLearn looked nothing like what it does today. But the goal, the intent, the impact, the sustained force is greater.
We started the NNED with 35 community-based organizations, and we currently have in the network over 1,100 community-based organizations.
NNED took time to create an experience for us. They found a sacred place that we could come to and talk about healing. We were able to meet somebody and have a human experience and really talk about, how can we form a bridge between the community and the government to really deal with health disparities. A lot of people talk about capacity building, like, well, we want to help you build capacity, without really taking time to understand organically and authentically who we are. This time, this whole piece wasn't skipped. We came to a sacred space to really talk about the most vulnerable parts about us, our community, what we're going through, to really work through solutions. By coming up to New Mexico, going through this process, we were able to take this back and help these babies understand and navigate the trauma they're dealing with.
Achieving whole health, mind, body, and spirit was an exciting opportunity for us to increase our skills to serve the community and in alignment with our commitment to strengthen our integrated care efforts. There were many elements that we learned we were already incorporating in our work, and this training allowed us to do so more intentionally and refine and practice and add skills.
This training allowed us to learn from the best in the country. We created information that was made available about how to protect the community against COVID. We also created information about mental health. We took it out to the community and met them where they were at.
When we received the invitation to participate in the NNEDLearn motivational interviewing track, our team was absolutely thrilled. We saw it as an opportunity to broaden and just sharpen our existing skills in order for us to develop real, authentic relationships with our clients, to hold at the center what it is that they want to focus on, and to understand how they plan to get there.
Project Venture is a SAMHSA evidence-based curriculum that is used to teach middle school age kids life skills and coping skills, and just a prevention tool to get them busy and to get them on the right path. It's focused on outdoor activities, in-school activities, weekend activities. They're responsible for themselves and they have to mature through the program.
We are excited to implement the activities we learn and to see how the outdoor activities could positively impact our youth and their families. We envision incorporating our cultural lessons and being in the outdoors to encourage our youth to work hard in reaching their goals.
We began implementing play about 3 years ago, and we have found that of the myriad evidence-based interventions that we implement here in our therapeutic day treatment program, it is the only intervention that we've been able to implement without making adaptations or modifications.
Our youth have been consistently traumatized, and many times they're socialized to escalate quickly. That's the way they deal with stress. So having a strategy for de-escalation is crucial, and play offers that.
Play stands for Preventing Long-Term Anger and Aggression in Youth, and it's a way to find out their emotional strengths and weaknesses while they're playing on the court.
It was a good time in our lives. We were young, we would play. It's playtime. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I can see really all of us using it really globally.
Yeah. We've learned over the years, through a lot of sports, you can find out a lot about people's emotional strengths and weaknesses based on how they navigate these relational conflicts. So we've been using basketball as a way to find out what stresses young people out and how well do they navigate those conflicts. And we've noticed that the same way that you problem solve on the streets or in a classroom or in a family situation, you can see that on the court. And if we can intervene with young people while they're managing their stress, either well or not well, we can transfer that skill set of stress management to the street or to the classroom or to family.